Welcome to the Town Board meeting for Tuesday, February 13th, 2018. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, one nation, God.
Councilwoman Shaw,
Present.
Councilman Wiltshire,
Present.
Councilwoman Feldman,
Present.
and Supervisor Levenberg.
Here. So our first item on tonight's agenda is a public hearing on local law number 2 of 2018, which would extend the property tax exemption currently offered to veterans of the Cold War. Our town assessor explained to us at our work session that without passing local legislation, this exemption would sunset, and those veterans would no longer be eligible for this specific exemption. So with that, I guess I'm going to call for any comments on local law number 2 of 2018, extension of Cold War veterans exemption. Is there anybody from the public who has come to address us on this issue? Seeing no one. Okay. In that case, unless the board has any comments? Hearing none? Could I please have a motion to close this public hearing? We should be ready to pass this local law at our February 27th regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. February 27th for our resolution. We'd also planned to continue our public hearing tonight on the Westchester Ballroom Cabaret license renewal. But as per a conversation between counsel to the town and counsel for Westchester Ballroom, the applicant needs more time to gather the information that we had requested and resubmit their application. May I please have a motion to adjourn this public hearing until February 27th?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. With that, we are going to move into the rest of our regular meeting, and we're going to start with announcements. Do any of my colleagues have any announcements that they'd like to start with? Otherwise, I'll go into mine, and if you think you have anything to add, feel free.
Say again?
But if any of my colleagues have any announcements before me, otherwise you want to wait until after, and if you have anything to add, feel free.
Okay. Well, you usually cover everything going on in town, so I'm going to let you go first.
Okey doke.
And then if I think of anything you miss, I will have.
I know that there's some stuff going on with Ossining Rock, so maybe you can add that to the fray.
Not
Okay.
yet.
First things first, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. You picked up anything yet for your sweetie? If not, don't fret. Ashley Drago? Is that right? Drago? Thing? Botanicals will be at First Village Coffee on Main Street again tomorrow, beginning at 9 a.m. for a pop-up floral shop. This is something new to Ossining. She has some beautiful arrangements, as I can attest since I received one today. Maddie. At a reasonable price. When you stop for your morning cup of joe, make it a twofer and pick up a gorgeous bouquet for that special someone in your life. On Thursday, February 15th, the Ossining Historic Cemeteries Conservancy will hold their midwinter meetup at the Jug Tavern beginning at 7 p.m. Learn about projects planned for the warmer weather and hear some tales of old Ossining history. Light refreshments will be served. RSVP by emailing ohcc10562@gmail.com. That very same evening, the Ossining Documentary and Discussion Series will be screening Soundtrack for a Revolution at 6:30 p.m. at the Ossining Public Library. This moving film explores the civil rights struggle through the music and musicians of the time and will be followed by a panel discussion featuring Ossining's own folk legend, KJ Dennert. Don't miss this great evening in the Boudars Theater for this Thursday night. Also that night, check out Thursday Organ Grooves, presented by the Second Saturday Jazz Series in the Uptown Room at the Ossining Elks Lodge, 118 Croton Avenue. The music begins at 7 p.m. and a $10 donation at the door is suggested. On Friday, February 16th, Westchester Collaborative Theater will host Play in the Box, a series of short plays that are still being workshopped. Check out the creative process behind some of Ossining's best local talent. Drop by 23 Water Street on Friday night at 6:30 p.m. $5 at the door is a heck of a deal. Are you one of those people who just can't get enough of this freezing cold, drippy weather? Well, I am. Come on down to Engle Park on Saturday, February 17th and join me and participate in the Escape from Sing Sing Polar Plunge organized by Galata House. Your donation to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society earns you a ticket onto the beach and, assuming the right weather conditions, into the cold shallows of the Hudson. Be sure to bring a towel, water shoes, and warm clothes to put on after you romp in the river. Coffee and hot chocolate will be provided for the brave souls like me who dare to take the plunge. Please do join me, and feel free to contact me if you don't want to dive in but are looking for someone to sponsor. Later that night, you'll probably need some warming up. Just come on down to the street at Westchester Collaborative Theater. KJ Denner will be playing her signature smooth styling starting at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are just $20. If you've heard KJ perform before, you know that this small, intimate venue is going to be a great place to hear her again. I did hear some fantastic jazz there last week, and I can attest to the fact that the acoustics are great and the performances, it's a great venue. So come on down. Another event that I'm especially looking forward to is the reveal of the new Cedar Lane Art Center sign on Wednesday, February 28th. We will be unveiling the new sign for the Cedar Lane Art Center between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. The sign utilizes the logo design created by Brian Sheridan, who won the town's logo contest last March, as well as the talents of Keith Gordon, who runs Cedar Lane Art Center, and our amazingly talented park staff, as well as some upcycled material from the park itself. Please join us to get the first look at this awesome collaboration and also enjoy a wonderful art show with work by art students at Ann M. Dorner Middle School. Light refreshments will be served, and it's another opportunity to get a look at some of the wonderful variety of art programs being offered at CLAC through the Recreation Department. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Finally, I want to celebrate two pieces of news we got this past week. The first in reference to the absurdly committed and talented Susie Ross, who chairs the Green Ossining Committee. Susie is being recognized by Volunteer New York for the amazing work she has done year after year, organizing the Earth Day Festival in the town's Lewis Angle Park. Susie works tirelessly to make sure every detail is perfect, every vendor has a good spot, and every visitor has a great time. And this event has been growing and growing by leaps and bounds every year. And more importantly, people learn something when they come down there, and we're sure that we could never do it without her. So several of us are planning to celebrate this well-deserved honor day before Earth Day in April, and I'm very much looking forward to watching Susie receive the Going Green Volunteer Spirit Award, and then she gets to celebrate the next day at Earth Day when she'll be, getting the fruits of all of her labor appreciated by all the many people that are going to come to Earth Day at Angle Park. Finally, we saw a report today that names Ossining one of the 100 safest communities of 25,000 plus residents in the country. Neighborhood Scout, a web-based platform, shouted us out as number 29, just below our friends in Harrison at number 20. The CEO of Neighbor Scout speculates that distance to well-paying jobs in urban areas, coupled with a good school system and a high quality of life, leads to reduced violent and property crime, and we're so very proud of Ossining for getting this great attention at a national level. Special thanks to our Ossining Police Department and Chief Kevin Sylvester and his officers for the work they do daily to keep us very safe. But also thanks to all of you, the Ossining community. A lot of what makes Ossining so safe is that we are great neighbors who look after one another. So this win belongs to all of us. Congratulations. That, I ask if I've missed anything.
Okay, Ossining rocks. I know there's a lot of talk online, but we are going to wait for the snow and ice to go away before we start placing rocks in the community.
Okay.
People are asking for more and larger venues for the rock painting. So we're probably going to try to ask if we could do it at Cedar Lane Art Center.
Okay.
Or around some of our local establishments, because people seem to really enjoy the 6 degrees, one. So
Okay.
there will be more coming soon.
Wonderful. And are there any liaison reports? All right. In that case, we are going to move right into our departmental reports. And this evening, we're joined by our receiver of taxes, Ms. Holly Perlowitz, who is here to give us her quarterly update on activity in the tax office. Honorable Perlowitz has only been on the job for 7.5 months, but she's cruising through like a pro and offering exceptional customer service to our residents, for which the board and I are incredibly grateful. And I'm sure our public is too. Holly.
Thank you, Supervisor Levenberg, and thank you everyone else for having me tonight. I wanted to talk about basically 4 things, and I thought I would identify them first. I'd like to go back and talk about what happened at the end of December with all the hoopla about prepaying taxes, and I'd then like to talk about the second half of school collections and how that went, and then look at our overall portfolio of tax receivables, which I believe you have a handout which we'll refer to, and then just to tell you what's next on the list. So firstly, you might have heard that at the end of the year there was a lot of talk in the news about people wanting to prepay their taxes prior to the end of the year, so because of the tax law changes. And we were fortunate enough here in the town that we were able to issue a warrant, and because of that, by law, once you issue a warrant, you're allowed to collect taxes. And collect taxes we certainly did. We tried very, very hard to communicate with all of our taxpayers via the email blast that I send out to sort of direct them as to exactly what we were able to collect. We were only able to collect the town taxes, not the county taxes, because the county did not issue a warrant. So people who contacted us and got the emails came in with they were wonderful. They came in with the perfect amounts, and we were able to do that collection very smoothly. People who just decided to send in, sort of arbitrary amounts or the amount that was equal to last year's town-county bill, we had to do some refunding of that. So just to give you an idea, over 400 people came in and paid their school taxes early and paid their town taxes early as well. And I really, I hesitate using the word prepayment because it's really not. I mean, once you get a bill and once you have a warrant, you collect taxes. And I think that's a really important point to make. We also, as I mentioned, had to refund. We collected, let me just go back, we collected about $788,000. We refunded about $155,000. So our net collections on our town bill, which won't be going out until the end of March, was $633,000. And I was incredibly inspired by what wonderful community members we have. We had people donating coffee and donuts, and there were stories all over the news about people having very long lines and a lot of agitation, and we really had none of that. We had very cooperative community members, and it was a quick reaction, and everyone cooperated very well. Secondly, the second half of school collections went very well. They're due on January 31st. And we stayed open late 2 nights until 7. Anybody who missed and is coming in and paying their taxes on a delinquent basis, I'm asking them to, A, sign up for the email blast at the time that they come in, and B, what can we do to just make this office more accessible to you during collection times? Is earlier better? Is later better? Is a Saturday morning better? So I'm just talking to everyone and trying to get their input on what would be better. That being said, more people are paying online, and I anticipate that will continue. But we did well, and that's a great segue for us to look at the handout that you have in front of you. Just to give you an overall an overall sense, the total of all the warrants that were issued in 2017 were $134 million approximately, and our collections through the end of January were $131 million, which means that we collected close to 98% of all of the warrants out. Comparing that to last year, we look at our uncollected balance of warrants. Our uncollected balance at the end of January was about $3.25 million, compared to the year before, which was $6.1 1.16 million, just to give you an idea. And again, I think some of that had to do with people being anxious to pay. I also wanted to make note, although I don't think we need to expand right now, that we have 5 2016 liens that could go to auction if they don't redeem in the summer of 2018, and 43 2017 liens where foreclosure actions will begin if they're not resolved. And I can honestly say that we're always working that receivable amount and trying to get in touch with people. And I would have to say that sometimes it's a financial thing, sometimes it's just a forgetfulness thing, sometimes it's a changing owner thing. So it's important to just keep trying to reach out to the community and find out what's going on. So what's next? What's next is the town-county bills, which will go out at the end of March, and they'll be due by April 30th. I encourage anyone who's listening to this and anyone who's in here to please convince people to sign up for these email blasts. They're very helpful. A lot of times people who came in late and had to pay a very large penalty on the school taxes if they paid after January 31st was just a forgetfulness thing. Life is busy and they forgot. And with the email blast and being able to just remind people, and I promise I only use it for that, is something that could be helpful. So I'm telling everyone, please sign up for it. Any questions? Anything I could answer?
Is there an easy way where people can email to sign up for the email blast?
Yes, right on the town website. When you go to the Town of Ossining Receiver of Taxes website, there's 2, I call them lavender boxes in the middle of the page. One takes you to paying your taxes online, and the other one takes you to signing up for these alerts. So it's very easy, and you can also email me at taxreceiver at townofossining.com, and I would give you my other email address, but I'd have to spell my long name.
So if you go to townofossining.com, you can also get to the receivers
Yes,
page
absolutely.
through the townofossining.com website.
Yes, and
Okay.
just, if you don't want to read all of it, you just go right down. There's two boxes, lavender boxes. Okay.
Wonderful.
Anything else?
No, I think that was really fantastically efficient.
Oh, I did want to mention one more thing, and that's that I forgot to also mention that through February, through the first 13 days of February, we've collected an additional over $600,000 in taxes. So they're still coming in, and the outstanding balance is continuing to go down.
Wonderful.
I did want to thank you and your office for really, and supervisor on the budget, for getting it together and allowing people, working so hard to allow people to pay it early. I know that wasn't an easy job. And, I'm sure everybody helped out equally.
Yes, it was.
And
Takes
so
a
are
town.
we all now, with all the refunds, we're just all square with everybody?
The actual checks are going out as soon as I guess we had to
We do this, okay,
do
yeah.
that. They're going out with a letter that explains the amount of the refund. I have gotten a number of questions about it, and nobody is complaining. They all understand that it was an administrative challenge, and they're all going out. And I told everyone that they should be out by the end of this week.
Okay, great, thank you for all your hard
Totally
work.
And we
square.
will be approving some additional refunds in our voucher detail. So once those are approved, then checks will be issued, and you'll have hopefully that's the remainder. I guess the
Yeah,
question,
hopefully that's it.
Councilwoman Feldman, is are there more coming? Is it possible that we would see any more of those? No.
No,
So you
will
were able to
not.
get that all
Yes.
out straight? Wow, that's a lot of work,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, it's all done.
Fantastic.
And it'll be showing up, the amount that they paid in advance will be showing up as a credit on their town, and I explained that in the letter. Okay. Right,
Fantastic.
anything
Right.
else?
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
So, moving right along, Is there any public comment on any of our agenda items specifically? So then not general public comment, but if anything that's on our agenda for this evening, or any comment? All right. Hearing none, we'll go into our board resolutions.
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Austining hereby approves the January 23rd, 2018 minutes of the regular meeting as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Austining hereby approves the February 6th, 2018 minutes of the special meeting as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolved that the Town Board hereby approves the voucher detail report dated February 13th, 2018, in the amount of $362,532.49 for 2017 and $381,254.37 for 2018, grand total of $743,786.88.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Austining accepts, with regret, the resignation of Deputy Receiver of Taxes Julie DiLoretto, effective February 9th, 2018.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolved that the 2017 year-end budget is modified as described below, and there are several pages of 2017 budget adjustments, which are on the town website, on this agenda, and then also on file in the clerk's office.
So do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay. While we usually do budget adjustments several times a year, the whirlwind that is known as Munis, our new accounting system, made it rather challenging this past year. So we have several pages of budget adjustments for 2017 that will get us closer to closing out the year. Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Austining hereby promotes Miss Patricia Berzueta of Austining, New York, from the part-time position of chauffeur to the probationary full-time split title of chauffeur and food service helper, effective February 14th, 2018, at an annual salary of $34,707.
I have a motion.
Second.
I'm very excited to be able to vote on this resolution tonight. Patricia, or Pat, has worked with us in the senior nutrition program on a part-time basis since February of 2016, and she is well beloved by our seniors and by her coworkers. Following the retirement of chauffeur Denise Auerdick in 2017, we had the opportunity to rethink this position a little, and the split title will allow Pat to drive our seniors around town while also pinch hitting in the kitchen and helping with meal prep. Pat's a lovely person who represents Austining so well, and I couldn't be more proud to have her as part of our team. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Welcome, Pat.
Okay, you have no correspondence to be received and filed. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Austining hereby accepts the following monthly reports for the month of January 2018. Town Clerk's Office, Town Tax Receiver's Office, GE Helicopter Report, Dale Cemetery Report, Supervisor's Office Report.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. With that, we have gotten to the point in our agenda where we ask for anybody to come and approach the board on any topics they have to discuss with us. Visitor recognition. Please approach and state your name and address. Please, come on. So far, you're the only one brave enough to raise your hand and go first.
Good evening. My name is David Whitlinger, Austining since Sandy, a couple months before Sandy we moved in. We've got two boys in the Austining school system, and my wife Laura sits on the ethics committee. First, I didn't hear anything about the controversial topic of bovine gas that lit up. I was really surprised that
It lit up? Is that a pun?
that was
Okay.
intended.
Yes.
Do you have a comment? There's, this is a Facebook controversy.
I don't really have to comment, but I'm happy to comment on the
People are
the
wondering
comment
how they're
about.
going to be regulated.
Yes, so I don't think that there's any intent on the part of the town to get into too deep a discussion about this tonight, but there has been a lot of talk on Facebook about the comments I made last week regarding what I learned at the Bedford 2020 conference about the impact of ruminant methane from ruminants on the environment and how much greater of an impact it has than basically, I'm just going to reiterate. The point was, even with everything that we could do to get carbon emissions to zero, if we continue at our current pace of beef consumption, it will be for naught, because we will not be able to bring down the temperature of the earth worldwide. This is worldwide. If we don't start looking at our consumption of ruminants. That was my comment. And I invited anybody that was interested in joining me to, as part of the initiative called Meatless Monday, which we didn't start here in Ossining, and they didn't even start in Bedford 2020. They just kind of jumped onto to start raising awareness about beef consumption and the impact that we can all have if we try to reduce it.
And just to be clear, this is supervisor telling you what she learned at the Green Bedford 2020, what would you call that?
Conference.
Conference, thank you. And not a new discussion of another law that we're going to enact or any kind of program we're going to run. This is something that Bedford 2020 brought forward, and she was just passing along as information to the public.
I'm
so, just
strictly
saying.
here as a
Not that I think it's a
public
bad idea,
service.
because I don't. I do think it's a good idea.
I might have had meat yesterday. I'm not sure. But I just as
It's really to
Steve
reduce- it's
Thomas
right.
or others out there that are moderating
Yeah.
a fiery discussion about how
Yes,
the
and they
town
don't
of
want-
Ossining.
And we've just taken up more town time discussing it. But thanks for bringing it up.
All right. Well, I hope
Responding
it
to
gets
our
concluded.
public.
So I would like to talk to you tonight about the Sunshine Home. That is why I'm here. And so if I could, first, as you probably recall, back in 2015, some of you on this board and others that were on the board at the time passed a resolution as the Sunshine Home was seeking an expansion. It's located in Newcastle, as you're aware, expansion from 18,000 square feet to 144,000 square feet in a residentially zoned area, for-profit hospital. You passed a resolution at that time, or the board members passed a resolution at that time asking for an environmental impact study. As you perhaps know, the town of Newcastle, the ZBA, ignored your request and proceeded through the process. That process revealed quite a bit of things throughout the process. The public foiled many, many documents, caught the applicant in many different places of not representing their application honestly. And that process ultimately has resulted in a lawsuit. That lawsuit originally was about half a dozen families, many of them Ossining constituents and voters. That now has risen to about 30 families, again, many of them Ossining, who are contributing financially to stop this massive commercial development in a residential neighborhood. That lawsuit is pending. As the course of the project proceeded forward, they've now been required to come back to the town of Newcastle ZBA. For that, they now have to declare themselves as lead agency again. The ZBA does, and they have to notify all of the parties in the surrounding area, all of the other agencies that might be a part to this. So a couple things. You should know that Ossining, the neighborhood around this, those that live in Newcastle, those that live in Ossining, those that live in Cortland, there are a large number of group of individuals that are completely opposed to this massive commercial enterprise in a residential neighborhood. We have become quite friendly. We're galvanized. We're working together both at the ZBA on Newcastle, and we're working in election cycles as necessary. Obviously, the lawsuit is a very, very large multi-party lawsuit, and we feel like it's very important to protect this part of our community, not only to protect the natural resources, but to also protect it from commercial development. And I'd like to talk to you more about that. We know that you've probably received materials over the course of time either from the Sunshine Home or from Newcastle, or perhaps you've sent things that have been produced by those agencies to your engineers to be reviewed. But if you yourselves have been a party to any of these large commercial projects, you know that there are certain elements of a project that get presented and represented by the engineers that are for that project and by the lawyers that are for that project. And they're trying to present it in the best light in order to get it approved. We equally have a large number of engineers, hydrologists, environmental studies, and lawyers who will show you the opposite side to this project and will show you the places where the applicant misled the town of Newcastle and where the applicant misled the public and where there are just flat out differences of opinion on the engineering and on the environmental impact. We would like to present that to you. We would like to have a public hearing, and we would like to present that information for you so that you have the best knowledge from your constituents, those that live in Ossining, when you are potentially going to be asked to make decisions about this important part of Ossining. It sits right on the border, right above Cedar Lane Park, right above the Indian Brook Reservoir, where all of our drinking water comes from. Second, you have been demoted. You might not know that, but the ZBA, the first time around, the applicant listed you as a involved party. Involved party because you provide sewer services. You have now been demoted in this next round to become an involved agency. You're no longer considered the right level in this proceeding. We would like you to send a letter to the town of Newcastle ZBA and demand that your standing be returned. You were demoted to an involved agency instead of an interested agency. That's important. It's a legal precedent that you need to have restored. If at any time the town board is asked to participate in this, you need to have the correct standing. We need you to have the correct standing to represent us. So we would like to ask you to send a letter before the time is up, the 30-day window is already running, and restore your status for the town of Ossining. Last, we'd like to ask you to do nothing. We know that there are differences of opinion as to whether or not there's enough water to build a facility like this. We know that the applicant has represented that they have plenty of water, that the wells that they have are sufficient, that even the radium water well that they have, that they're using right now, doesn't need to be used. They could turn that water off, and they would still, as they've represented to the town of Newcastle, that they have enough water to supply this facility that exists and their expanded facility. We also believe that they're not being honest, and that at some point they either have or they will come to Ossining and ask for water. We would ask you to do nothing. Do not put a finger on the scale that would enable this expansion. Do not even try to offer them municipal water. Let the court determine whether or not a commercial facility of this size should be built in a residential neighborhood. Let that court proceeding proceed without you putting your finger on the scale. Do not offer, do not entertain, and do not engage in anything that enables the expansion until the court is settled. That is what we request. Thank you.
We are now an involved agency or an interested agency? David?
Sorry, I get these mixed up because they're...
I believe that what involved agency means you have approval authority. Interested agency, you don't necessarily have approval authority, but you are an agency like an adjacent municipality that would have an interest in what's going on. I suspect what was intended to be said was that you were previously an involved agency and now are listed as an interested agency, perhaps that's because they're no longer seeking any additional capacity from you. But I would have to look at the documents to confirm that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's correct. And that would mean that where they've misrepresented this twice, they've once said that they were going to be 122 beds. Then they figured out that they couldn't do that if they were going to try to satisfy other requirements, so they dropped it down to 118. But at other times, they do represent it as 122. So if it is 122, Ossining has to be an interested agency,
Involved agency.
involved agency. Thank you.
Okay. Is there
Thank you.
anybody else? Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public who's here to address the board? Come on forward. State your name and address and
Hi,
hear about.
my name is Arlene Clark. I live at 15 Tompkins Avenue, Ossining. I bought a house there since 1999. I raised 2 kids. They go to Ossining High. Now finished working. I live there, but my problem is the parking. I get a ticket almost every night. I work in healthcare, sometimes 16 hours a day, three out of 4 nights a week. And the parking is ridiculous. The people who live on Linden park on Tompkins. People who live on Clinton Terrace, they park on that street. So when I come home at 11 o'clock at night, there is no parking. So I drive around because that's like the only part, because Linden is on my street. Everybody come that way. So I'm just asking if I could get like even Clinton Avenue overnight parking, or even Elizabeth Street, because it's so hard.
Well, thank
Since between last year and now, I pay about $400 in parking tickets.
Wow.
So it's really, really hard.
So sorry for that.
Okay.
I just need to tell you that Tompkins is actually in the village of Ossining, and we don't have jurisdiction over the parking in the village of Ossining, so you would have to go to a village meeting.
I go to almost everything and complain.
Okay, so on a Wednesday night, right? And address the village board, because we really don't have any jurisdiction over those parking restrictions or, what you're asking for. This board does not, okay? But
I go
thank
to
you.
everything. I'm just trying everywhere.
Okay.
Are you getting
so-
ticketed because you're in a no parking zone?
Exactly, because I park on the opposite. After doing 16 or 12-hour shift, I drive around. Sometimes the way they park is hard, because like where 3 cars could fit is only 2. So after
mean,
16
the only
hours,
thing
I'm
you could-
tired, so I just park on the opposite
You could,
side.
maybe at the next meeting, you could suggest that they put lines for spaces.
I did that too. I asked that too, but it's not helping.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, thanks for coming. Anybody else? No. Okay. Nothing. In that case, I would like to take a motion to adjourn into executive session for the advice of counsel, and hold on, I have my list of what we're discussing, which is for contracts and personnel. Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? As a reminder, we will not see you next Tuesday, because many of us will be at the Association of Towns Conference, which is in New York City once again this year, and we're very grateful for that because it doesn't cost us a whole heck of a lot of money to go, and we get an awful lot out of it. I hope everyone has a very happy Valentine's Day, and that all of our Ossining students enjoy a healthy, safe, and restful winter break. Tomorrow I'm going to be delivering Valentines with the Girl Scouts to veterans up at Montrose, VA. So I hope that we have a great time sharing Valentine's Day with them, and I hope you have a great time sharing Valentine's Day with your special someones. Good night, everyone, and have a great week.